Beloved, welcome home again. Welcome to episode 9 of The Frequency of Enough. In this arc, we've walked through the atmosphere of not enough, the mechanics that sustain it, the cost of chasing worth, the spells that break it, the identity that dissolves, the courage that emerges, and the relationships that transform. But today, we shift from inner awareness to outer creation. This episode is titled, The Life You Built When Enoughness is Your Foundation. And it is here, beloved, right here, that your entire reality begins to reorganize itself around truth. Not the old truth formed from survival, not the inherited truth shared by wounds, not the cultural truth based on productivity or image, but your truth, your presence, your body, your soul, your enoughness. Let's breathe into this and begin. Section 1. The entire trajectory of your life shifts. When enoughness becomes your foundation, you don't just feel different, you choose different. Your decisions no longer come from fear, scarcity, needing to be liked, wanting to prove yourself, desperation, self-neglect, pressure, self-doubt, old wounds, obligations. Your decisions come from clarity, peace, truth, groundedness, self-respect, alignment, intuition, inner authority, and joy. Your entire trajectory changes because the source of your choices changes. This is the beginning of the entirely new life. Section 2. The 4 pillars of enough-based life. When you build your life from the frequency of enough, 4 pillars naturally rise from the ground. Let's name them. Pillar 1 is simplicity. When you feel like enough, you stop adding things to your life to compensate for an internal void. You no longer clutter your schedule with obligations you resent. You no longer fill your home with things you don't need. You no longer fill your mind with other people's expectations. You no longer fill your heart with relationships that drain you. Simplicity becomes a form of self-respect. You realize the less I chase, the more I feel, the less I carry, the more I ride. Pillar number 2, sovereignty. Enoughness restores your internal authority. You trust yourself. You listen inward. You rely on your intuition. You stop living according to the prescriptions of others. You no longer outsource your decisions to people who don't live your life. Sovereignty is not isolation, it is self-leadership. The truth becomes your compass. Your body becomes your guide. Your soul becomes your anchor. Pillar number 3, alignment. When you stop negotiating your worth, alignment becomes non-negotiable. You stop choosing jobs that crush your soul, relationships that demand your shrinking, environments that suffocate your truth, habits that drain your energy, beliefs that contradict your inner knowing. You start choosing spaces where your presence is welcome, people who celebrate your truth, work that fills purpose, boundaries that feel clean, routines that support your well-being, identities that match who you actually are. Alignment is not a reward, it is a natural byproduct of enoughness. Pillar number 4, joy as a way of being. This is the most beautiful shift. When enoughness becomes your foundation, joy stops being something you chase and becomes something you experience. Not joy that depends on achievement, not joy that depends on circumstances, not joy that depends on performance. Joy that comes from being present, being real, being grounded, being honest, being yourself, being here. Joy becomes your home frequency. Even on hard days, even in uncertainty, even in transition, even in the complexity of the human being. Joy is no longer the prize, it is the baseline. Section 3. What your daily life begins to look like. When enoughness is your foundation, your life begins to feel different in the smallest ways. Let's name some of them. First, you wake up without dread. Not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer are living in betrayal. 2. Your mornings become spacious. You choose presence over panic. You choose clarity over chaos. Number 3. Your boundaries become natural extensions of self-respect. You don't force them, they rise organically. Number 4. You stop taking things personally because you're no longer reading everything through the lens of not enoughness. Number 5. You move slower, not out of laziness, but out of intention. Number 6. You say no with ease, not harshly, not defensively, with clarity. Number 7. You allow joy to touch you in small, ordinary moments. A warm mug, a quiet morning, a soft breeze, a meaningful conversation, a moment of inner alignment. Number 8. Your relationships feel lighter. You're no longer performing connection, you are living connection. Number 9. You trust the timing of your life because you're no longer racing to catch up to the self-imposed standards. And finally, number 10. You belong to yourself fully, quietly, deeply. This is the architecture of a life built from enoughness. Section 4. The life you no longer tolerate. When enoughness becomes embodied, there is an entire version of life you simply cannot live anymore. You cannot live in chronic overextension, constant self-sacrifice, relationships that require your shrinking, environments that dishonor your truth, the emotional labor of other adults, burnout disguised as responsibility, approval chasing, perfectionism, emotional caretaking, inner war. Your soul no longer allows it. Enoughness raises your standards without forcing anything. It simply makes the old life non-compatible with the new you. Section 5. The embodiment practice. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow breath. Let your body receive it. And whisper, I am building a life that reflects my inner, real worth. Then ask, what is one part of my life that is ready to evolve now that I know I am enough? A job, a relationship, a boundary, a habit, a belief, a pace of life, a daily practice, a truth you've been avoided speaking. Whatever arises, it's the beginning of your new foundation. Beloved, the moment you feel like enough, your life begins to rebuild itself from the inside out. You don't force it, you don't push it, you don't hustle it, you don't strategize it. It unfolds because enoughness is fertile ground. Enoughness is structure. Enoughness is clarity. Enoughness is truth. Enoughness is sovereignty. Enoughness is freedom. In episode 10, the finale, we'll explore the return of peace, living in the frequency of enough. This finale is the culmination of everything, a descent, a remembering, a completion. Until then, walk gently, stand tall, trust yourself. You are building a life worthy of who you've become. I see you. I honor you. I'll meet you in episode 10.